You've written about a whole range of issues now back on the domestic agenda today. Primarily, I guess the biggest one's got to be this landing point on net zero by 2050 climate policy. There is a ruction inside the National Party. I don't think I've seen it so bad. You've got Darren Chester, who's basically standing out of the National Party. I assume he's going to resolve his position by the time the Parliament's back in mid-October. But you've got Matt Canavan, very strong. Barnaby Joyce's leader now trying to negotiate the way through. The PM always said, Dennis, that he wouldn't go net zero by 2050 unless he could demonstrate how we pay for it. That's what he's got to deliver if he's going to bring coalition supporters over the line, isn't it?
Well, precisely, and that's why his approach, and it's interesting, at the Quad meeting, this first face-to-face Quad meeting of the 4 leaders in the White House, the communique came out and it said net zero 2050 preferably. And that was after the G7 meeting where they said, you know, we understand you don't want to finance coal, but it's got to be unabated coal. So everywhere where Japan, Australia, India have had some influence, there's always a little bit of wriggle room. But I think the Prime Minister is very keen to get net zero by 2050, a commitment by the climate change meeting in Glasgow. And the way he's doing this is trying to sell an economic prize, he describes it. So instead of talking about the environmental aspects and saying, well, you know, we'll join the rest of the world and we'll be lowering emissions and so on, he's actually selling an economic solution to try and provide continued jobs in the regions and in mining, and to lock in participation with the rise of countries like Malaysia, Vietnam, the Philippines, Indonesia, so that we diversify our markets and become enmeshed in these growing markets in a way that we were never allowed to be enmeshed with the market in China. So it's a big picture economic story, but it also it meets what Joe Biden wants. And Joe Biden specifically mentioned this during the bilateral meeting with Scott Morrison, where he said Scott Morrison's idea of assisting developing nations to cut their emissions was extremely important, because Joe Biden's view is it's a global problem. It doesn't matter what you do within your borders if no one else is doing anything. And so this is Scott Morrison's appeal on the environmental and the economic side. It's another attempt for what? The 6th leader to try and save his job and sell a climate change policy.
Well, it's one thing to get through the party room. It's another thing to get people to buy it at the election. We'll see what happens. Long way to go. Dennis Shanahan, great to see you back home. Thank you for your time.